Before most people have had their first proper coffee, they've already made dozens of small decisions: what to wear, whether to reply to that message now or later, what to eat, which route to take, how to answer "how are you" honestly or not. None of these feel like decisions in the moment. They feel like just getting through the morning. But each one draws from the same limited daily supply, which means the day's mental battery is already partway drained before the actual workday has even started. This is part of why some mornings feel unaccountably harder than others, even when nothing unusual has happened. It isn't that the day itself is worse, it's that more small decisions got packed into the first hour than usual, quietly setting the tone for everything after. Small talk requires more decision-making than it looks like from the outside: reading the room, choosing what to share, deciding how much energy to put into the exchange, all in real time. Early in the day, this costs almost nothing. By mid-afternoon, after a stack of other decisions, the same conversation can feel disproportionately draining, even with someone genuinely liked. This is often mistaken for social battery running out, which isn't wrong exactly, but it's more specific than that. It's decision-making capacity running out, and small talk simply happens to require a constant stream of tiny, real-time choices. Recognizing this can take some of the guilt out of needing a quieter afternoon. It was never about liking people less, it was about having fewer decisions left to spend on the exchange. By evening, a common and very telling pattern shows up: handing every remaining decision to someone else. What to watch, where to eat, what to do this weekend. Suddenly all of it becomes "I don't mind, you pick," even for things that would normally matter. This isn't apathy, it's the mental battery reaching empty and the brain instinctively looking for any way to avoid adding one more decision to the pile. Partners and friends sometimes misread this as disengagement, when it's closer to the opposite. The person cares enough that deciding badly feels worse than not deciding at all, so handing it over feels safer than risking a choice their depleted brain can't properly weigh anymore. Decision fatigue doesn't stay contained to logistics. It shapes emotional availability too. A difficult conversation that needs care and precise words can feel disproportionately hard to start at the end of a decision-heavy day, not because the relationship matters less, but because there's less capacity left to choose words carefully. This is often when conversations get postponed or handled clumsily, purely because the timing caught someone at empty. Understanding this can shift how these moments get read. A partner going quiet after a demanding day isn't necessarily pulling away. They may simply be out of the specific resource that careful, considered conversation requires and need a bit of time to recover it, rather than space to disappear. It would make sense if a couple of days off fully restored the daily decision supply, but for a lot of people it doesn't, because weekends often come loaded with their own pile of decisions, errands, plans, catching up on the things postponed all week. Rest that's just as decision-heavy as the working week doesn't recharge the same resource that got depleted. It just depletes it in a different setting. This is part of why some weekends leave people feeling almost as drained as the week they were meant to recover from. Not because rest doesn't work, but because very little of the weekend was actually free of deciding. This video has traced decision fatigue through an ordinary day: the morning choices nobody notices, the afternoon small talk drain, the evening collapse into "you choose," the effect on relationships, and why weekends don't always fix it. None of this is a character flaw. It's what happens when a finite daily resource meets a life with more decisions packed into it than most days were ever built to hold. On Friday, the final long-form video of this series moves from recognition into practice: specific, low-effort ways to actually reduce the load without needing to overhaul an entire life to do it. This week, on Healing Through Thoughts, we're naming the pattern first, so the practical part that follows actually has something real to work with.